The Wyoming and Western Railway, Union Pacific's Mountain Division, home to the LHP&P, the home of the Rattler. And we'll start out here at Ogden and our dispatcher's booth. And Ogden is a 5-track staging loop plus an 11-track stub-ended yard. The layout's basically from Ogden over Sherman Hill to Cheyenne. And as it leaves Ogden, goes through the wall and comes into Laramie. And Laramie has 5 storage tracks and an icing plant. And there was going to be a tie treatment plant. And this is my work area underneath Laramie. And as we leave Laramie, we need to turn on the lights. All the lights for the WNW are controlled off of one main panel here. So as we leave Laramie, heading for Sherman Hill, we come up to tie siding. And Effluent Falls, a creosote plant at tie siding. And then as we leave tie siding, we head through Hermosa tunnels, and we come up to Dale Junction. And that's where track 3 heads off towards Harriman, and tracks 1 and 2 continue. You can see track 3 disappearing down below there. And as we come around, we come into Sherman siding, and this is Sherman Hill. And we have the info. And we do process cows, and we have a supply company up here, and a little bit of activity. Harriman is the lower track here as it wound out and under a tunnel. Came from over here, and it follows a gentler climb. And as we leave Sherman, down below you'll see Harriman. The siding in Harriman on track 3. The fictitious place called Midgrade. It's for the dispatcher. And tracks 1 and 2 are proceeding down, as is track 3 below it, until we get to Granite. And Granite is where the gravel is loaded, but since I didn't have room, I also do my coal here. I have a coal operation as well as a granite gravel sand operation. And that's granite. And there's the motto. UP's Diamondback Division and home of the Rattler. Okay. You'll see another road up above here with brown gravel. That's the CB&Q line. It's a totally separate rail line. We'll show you that later. Okay, Harriman disappears in the tunnel and makes a big loop through this peninsula. Tracks 1 and 2 come down to Borey. And this is the junction, Borey, where the tracks circle around and go down to Denver, which there's staging underneath the whole rest of the layout, which is Denver and Billings. Track 3 comes around and comes into the yard right by Tower A. So this is the CB&Q bridge, the CNS bridge in Cheyenne, and this Wyoming stockyard. CB&Q line is proceeding all the way around on a separate level. And we're coming into the yard. These are the hidden tracks. And we do note them with a board. And this is Cheyenne Outer Yard. 6 tracks. And they come around into the Cheyenne Inner Yard. And this is the heart of everything. So they come in to Cheyenne. 4 main tracks. We'll come back down to 2. And then all of the yard tracks where we filter in all of the big boys and the challengers and turn them on the turntable and bring them back out. Even though the Frontier oil is in Cheyenne, Sinclair is my favorite. That's what the backdrop is of. It's over by Rollins. So Sinclair oil is my oil refinery here. And as we go down out leaving Cheyenne, 2 main tracks again. Some industries, the roundhouse, power plant, diesel facilities. The 2 main tracks disappear on their way to Omaha. And what they do is they circle around the whole underneath, and there are 5 staging tracks underneath Cheyenne. 4 staging tracks. And those are accessed through here. And you can maybe see some of them on there. So that's a big loop underneath for staging. And it comes back up. It's the dog bone on this end of the layout. And that's Cheyenne. The second part of the railroad is the CNS yard in Cheyenne. There's the diesel facilities, Simpson Electric, which is in Cheyenne. Don't know if you can catch my little... Oh, battery's out. Okay. The CNS yard, the CB&Q runs, has one connection with Cheyenne. It's this graded track that comes up here to the Y up at Sinclair. The other part of Sinclair on this side goes into a 6-track stub-ended yard. That's just a mirror in the back to let you know. And then there's 4 loading tracks for Sinclair to shuffle stuff back and forth between Outer Cheyenne and down to the CNS yard. So the CNS operates out of here and stays on the brown track. And it disappears into Never Never Land, 1948, a good year. Circles down around where you can see the tracks underneath, and there's actually 2 staging tracks for the CB&Q underneath, as well as the 5 staging tracks for Denver. And then this CNS CB&Q comes out just briefly, goes into a tunnel again, disappears under granite, and does a 2-loop helix up and comes out the brown track, circles around, crosses the CNS bridge, circles all the outside perimeter above Sinclair, and comes across above Sinclair Yard to the town of Hawk Springs. And Hawk Springs also has the C&W interchange off in the back corner. And we do have an industry and a feed mill. And then it leaves Hawk Springs and heads to Torrington. And Torrington is where we have our sugar beet factory. Torrington comes around and there's a passing sighting at Torrington, loading and unloading sugar beet spots. We have some coal and some other industry tracks. And the tracks down below here are actually Greeley, and they just pop out of the end of the Denver loop, which was down underneath. It merely comes down around and then loops right back and heads back that way. So, in a nutshell, there is the Wyoming and Western.